What inspired the God that sins?
It'd be really basic to say life, right?
Right.
But it is.
Right.
It's life in transition from one space to another space. I dropped this album called Crowns. I went to LA to record it. It's the first time I did that. The album before that was COVID era, so I just did it in my house in San Francisco.
Still came out dope though.
So now it did. No, it was, you know what I'm saying? Like I can make albums. I've worked very diligently as an MC who can perform well to say how does that experience translate onto records, right? Because when I'm in the Bay Area or in the Bay Area scene, I'm known as a live performer.
Yeah,
every Sunday night I'm at ROTC in Fillmore. Rapping, hosting, doing the party rocking kind of stuff. How do you translate that energy on a record that people can listen to, that's well mixed, that's all? So these are things that I'm testing out every time I release a project. By the time I release Crowns, I think I have it kind of locked in. I'm making my own beats. I'm bringing in other producers. But now I have a space where I can be an artist. It's not like, oh, I'm just recording this in my house.
Right.
I'm recording this in the homie crib.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? His mom in the other room. We got to I'm in a space where it's like, oh, you can be an artist now. You can be the person that person who's always been inside saying, wait till I get on.
Right.
Wait till
that moment.
It's this moment. So I recorded that album and the reception I got from that particular album was amazing. And it was like, it showed me, okay, this is the proof of concept for how I create. And because of the success of that album, I doubled down. I said, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to do it bigger.
Right.
And we're going to do it with different sonics and all of these different things. So, that paired with me working and doing hip hop education work, working in a nonprofit, the nonprofit gets shaken up.
Yeah.
We lose our executive director. All these things are flying out. So now I have to step up to the helm.
In that way,
it's like,
right.
It's either I step up or the boat sinks.
Right.
And that's a lot of pressure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was one of those kind of like reluctant leader situations that made me realize like, oh no, I can be a leader because I'm so reluctant to take that mantle.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, you know what I'm saying, just own that responsibility outright. And with that paired with the success of what's going on with me musically, it just started breeding a different environment for me.
Yeah.
Friends are starting to leave because of a lot of different things. It's awakening angels and it's awakening demons around everybody around me, but also within myself.
Right, that's
you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. So I'm recognizing these power dynamics and these shifting things, and I'm like, this is a narrative that needs to be expressed, right? So the God that sins, when I really started working on the album, it was the first song. That was the first beat I chose. It was the first song I recorded, and the words just came like speaking to the God that sins within me is my new religion, right? It was more of an introspective thought, but the idea of a God that sins to me was so profound. I said, this has to be the topic. This has to be the name of the album. And we have to explore this. What is that? What is the God that sins? Right? Am I calling myself a God? And it's like, no, it's humanity. The God that sins is humanity and mankind and our ability to create, right? That I really emphasize, matched with our capacity to destroy. And ultimately building or creating or building and destroying is in us. Our capacity to build ourselves up and call ourselves to a higher understanding of who we are and what we're here on this planet for, or to completely self-destruct, self-sabotage, right? Be so wrapped up and preoccupied in your trauma that you can't move to your fullest potential because you're still stagnant in this one place. And not only did I see it in myself, I saw it in everybody around me.
Right.
I'm seeing the self-sabotage. I'm seeing people who have all this amazing potential just throw it all away because they can't get past certain impulses and certain things. And I'm like, I don't want to be one of those cautionary tales. I don't want to be one of these people who could have had it, could have done it. I wanted to be one of the people who can excel. But that first, what first needed to happen in order for me to excel is to get out of my own way, to remove the blockages that were inhibiting my progress, which was my own anger, my own sadness, my own traumas, and still not having processed any of those emotions. You know what I'm saying? Therapy teaches you a lot about yourself. So I'm doing this, I'm doing the work, and I'm like, all right, well, I can have this internal dialogue with myself. I can have this existential debate with myself on a album and really explore themes that deal with mental health, that deal with temptation, that deal with the isolation that comes with success. You know what I'm saying? That deals with all of these different grown man topics right? And still give you something that you can vibe with.
Yeah, that's
give
fun.
you the same braggadocio that I've always given people,
Yeah.
but now let's kick it up a notch in terms of the content and the maturity of it.
Yeah.
And the depth.
Yeah.
And
No,
there's
it's really cool, man.
You know what I mean?
It's an incredible
Yeah.
piece of work, man.
Thank you.
Cool. So, one of the things I want to talk to you, because I really listen to the record a lot. I listen to the album a lot. I've been, I sit with it. I listen to it. Because, as much as I might have been a dude who wrote way back and, write stuff now or whatever, I think you have to stay a student. You know what I mean? So as much as I might know you, I'm still listening.
Yeah.
Right? I'm still paying attention. I'm still, if I didn't know you, how would it feel? You know what I mean? Kind of thing, right? So, one of the songs that really stood out for me was Streets Get Fed.
Okay.
Right? Now, this was in part because I saw you perform it when you opened for Raekwon.
Yeah.
Right? Now, no disrespect to anybody else that opened that day, but you stood apart from a lot of the other acts that came on stage.
I appreciate that.
It was really clear that there was a lot more polish to your stage performance, your songwriting ability, your ability to read a crowd, inspire a crowd. It was really powerful.
Yeah.
And Streets Get Fed was one of the songs that really, I was like, oh, that's the song he was doing. So can you talk about that song? And can you talk about just the creative process of making that particular track?
It was by far one of the funnest records. It allowed me to produce, right? Like when I say produce, not just make a beat, not just rap, but produce a record. Like I was in a Quincy Jones bag. Right? I didn't make the beat. I think Buck Roll Beats, my homie, he made the beat. But it was one of those beats where it fit sonically where I wanted to go.
Right.
There's 808s in it. It's a very relevant and current sound.
Yep.
But I wanted to give it more of a New York edge to it.
Yep.
Like it had this commercial accessibility, but I wanted to make it cultural. So I paired it with, not DJ Hollywood? Hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's I can see the record. Let me clear my throat.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I forget the DJ name. My apologies, but you know it's not.
It's a raw record though.
Yeah, it's not coming to me. So I take the beat and I hear the hold up, wait a minute, and I completely forgot about the ooh. So as I'm hearing the acapella of that, I'm like, oh shit, this chant.
Yeah.
This needs to go in the beginning. And at this point now I'm in like this, I'm exploring sounds. I'm exploring sonics. I'm listening to Kanye and what he does a lot of the time. I'm listening to Fat Joe. I'm listening to like New York rappers.
Yeah.
Fabulous, Fat Joe, Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Dave East.
Yeah.
That vibe, that energy, paired with something that Kanye West would produce.
Right. I see.
And I'm trying to pull it all together. And then the hold up, wait a minute, that's usually longer. It's hold up, it's slower.
Yeah.
So I had my man Wash, my engineer, he sped it up.
Yeah.
So it's hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then Joe Budden has a podcast and he does a segment called Sleepers where he just plays like new songs or songs you should listen to. And he'll get all of his DJ bag. He'll be like, say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I put those together. I put the crowd saying, wait a minute, and Joe Budden saying, wait a minute.
And it just worked.
And it worked. And I said, when the beat drops, and I wanted to like ride the edge of lyricism and something that was accessible.
It was fun,
which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
The records that stand out for me in hip hop where it gives you this street grit and commercial accessibility are In the Club by 50 Cent.
Right.
And All the Way Up by Fat Joe.
Ooh.
Those were the two kind of drivers in terms of what I'm trying to do.
That was well described for both.
You know what I'm saying? Like I always tell people, if you gave me the 50 Cent In the Club beat, I'm writing about the struggle. I'm writing about some political shit. Like I'm never getting what he got from that. Man. Right? But you hear those claps that come in and I'm like, that's what he was responding to. That's what made it so jovial. It's this very minor chord, dark beat that has this levity to it from his voice and from his lyrics. That match made that a hit record. Same thing with Fat Joe. That beat is dark.
Yeah.
Even though it has all the synths and the 808s and whatever, it's jug. But then he comes in on some like, you know what I'm saying? Like his cadence and like, you know, like
Fat Joe's incredible.
The way he moves on it. And Fat Joe's a great example. He's one of my biggest inspirations because he started in the underground.
In the
DITC.
Yo, man, listen. I have a VHS of Fat Joe's graffiti filmed by some heads that were just going around New York.
What are we talking about, right?
And then this woman is like, is that Fat Joe the rapper? Like on the video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's him.
You know what I'm saying? From the Bronx. Like this is like, you know what I mean? So
crazy.
He has this energy about him, and if you study his career for 30 years, you see him go from underground to like full-blown superstar.
Top tier dude.
Right? Writing top 100 records. Like, so he learned. He kind of...
And adapted.
And adapted is a better word for it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm drawing from these pools of inspiration. So when I get into my lyrical bag, I'm just like, how many times I got to prove that I'm him? I had something to prove.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing with me to speak to the point you was making about like my performance.
Right.
I always got something to prove.
Right.
The underdog exists in my
satisfied,
brain.
Yeah,
like
and that's an important thing of evolution, right?
Yeah, like that underdog still exists in my brain. I'm still in my brain, regardless of how many awards I get, streams, this, that, and the third. I'm still the dude who lost the rap battle.
Right. So you're like, I gotta redeem that.
I'm still the dude who got kicked out of the labels.
Right.
Who the A&Rs, the A&Rs wasn't fucking with. That's me in my head.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, how many times I gotta prove that I'm him? How many times do I have to achieve or unlock something that you've never seen anybody around you do? How many times do I gotta do that for you to just finally say, yo, you that nigga, yo?
Yeah. Let's open the door.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I came on it. And it was like something, and then the cadences that I'm using, I'm weaving through things, and I'm trying to make it like braggadocio and like. You know, but I was speaking real shit. Like, you got a problem with me say that. Like, own it, be in it. Don't give me this passive aggressive shit. Yeah. I don't want to read status updates that imply something about me. Right. Where I know, because we have static, who you talking about. Like, say it with your chest. Like, say it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm confrontational because I grew up in confrontation. Right. One thing I noticed about the Bay Area particularly, this is an indictment on the West Coast. Y'all are super passive aggressive.
Cats will be quiet. Cats will be quiet and hit you with the shame.
And I think more particularly...
They will say nothing.
And I think, but I think more particularly, black men have such a problem communicating with one another that if you have a problem, you just like, you let it go, but it comes out in other ways.
You're not really letting it go.
You're not letting it go. You're just kind of easing through the back door of conflict by saying something to somebody else that you should be saying to me. By doing something that undermines what it is that I'm trying to do, all because you feel a way that could have been easily resolved in a conversation.
So real.
So I'm speaking to a lot of these things that are really irking me as a person who's like trying to do a good thing, trying to do good things out here for other people aside from myself. Right. And being met with a lot of passive aggressiveness, a lot of like anti-confrontation, a lot of whispers. This is. It's like, nah. Let's just put it on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like, if and let's just talk about it. But if you're gonna feel a way, then you're gonna feel a way, and I'm gonna make you feel a way because I'm petty like that, and this is what we're gonna be on, right? Like that's just what we're gonna be on. So the streets get fed was more about like that was the energy,
really good
that I was coming with. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of like a record, it was just like I wanted to craft this experience, and that's what came from it.
That was mission accomplished.
How many times I gotta prove that I'm him? God, body, mind, I'm divine, but I sin. I grind and I win. If it drips, I dive in. Then I slide and I spin. In the Benz, I ride in. Big body climb in. Only let the dimes in. Turn your beef to prime rib, sliced in. Eat her out, we dine in. The lights dim, my life lit. If you been where I've been, you turn up. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'm 10. Let it shake.